1967, California, land of free, where it never rains and the mountains touch the sea. In the summer of love.
My name is Lisa Green. I'm the Community Education Director for St. Louis Park Public Schools, and this is our third Heart of the Matter community discussion, and we do them with different community organizations. So I'd like to introduce Jamie Marshall, Executive Director of Friends of the Arts.
Thank you, Lisa, for inviting Friends of the Arts to be a part of this. We have 4 fabulous artists who are connected to our St. Louis Park community with us here this evening. Sitting next to me here is Mary Harris. She is an award-winning singer, songwriter, actress, speaker, and a lover of life with a powerful commitment to provide entertainment, fun, empowerment, healing, and love through the arts. So welcome, Mary Harris. Next to her is Xiaojie Liu, is a freelance illustrator. She was born and raised in Enshi, China, received a BA in illustration from the Hubei Institute of Fine Arts, and an MFA in illustration from the Minneapolis College of Art and Design in 2018. Welcome, Xiaojie. Next to her is Stacia Goodman, a professional mosaic artist who specializes in site-specific, often large-in-scale mosaic artwork and installations in public and commercial spaces. Welcome, Stacia. And at the end of the row, Dan Israel, a longtime fixture on the Minneapolis music scene, an award-winning singer-songwriter who just released his 14th album called You're Free. Welcome, Dan Israel. So, I'll ask a series of questions here about your stories as artists, creatives, your creative process, and the intersection of art and community. And some of these questions I'll ask to hear from all of you. Otherwise, if anybody feels like they have an answer for it, feel free to just raise your hand. We'll share one mic. So I'll start off with one that I'll ask each of you to respond to. And that is the first moment that you knew that you were, or you started to call yourself an artist. What was that first kind of milestone?
Okay, now, those are like 2 different questions to me. So that's good. What wanting to do and then be an artist. So it's the same, but we can wind them together, right? Sure. Awesome.
You want to start?
No. Oh, sure. Well, I can. I mean, I've sung, I'm married, I've sung from the time I was 5, 6 years old. And I grew up in Moline, Illinois. And I have a brother and sister, older brother and sister, and the 3 of us sang together as an a cappella trio. And it was just amazing when I look back at it. Now, it wasn't until about 10 years ago I realized how what an art form it is to sing a cappella. And I don't remember any adult working with us at all. So we had some very intricate harmonies, and we just knew what we were doing. But we just felt it. Did I know I was an artist then? No, I just knew I was having some fun. And that really is that's my main platform. Appreciation and recognition, like acknowledging other people and having fun. Those drive me. That's got a lot to do with it. And so at some point, yeah, I call myself an artist. Well, another thing is we used to have one of those clothes washers that had the roller thing. The ringers, see? And the clothes were hanging, if it rained outside, the clothes were hanging on the line in the basement. And I do remember being down there singing to the clothes on the line, acting like I was singing to people in a nightclub in Paris. Now, what the heck did I know? Because I was probably 10. I was like, I did study French later in life, but it's like, oh yeah, that I had, I'm singing to these clothes on the line. That's what I know so far. Yeah.
When did I know I was an artist? So the first one, I think, I was contemplating that question earlier, and I think it goes back to being a kid, and my mom said I always had my nose to the ground, and I was looking for stuff on the ground. I was looking for pennies, keys, rocks. I grew up in northern Minnesota, rural northern Minnesota, and you just had to make do with what you had. But I remember as a kid playing in the sandbox that my stepdad had made for me out of an old tractor tire, and hours making these entire villages, using sticks and leaves and rocks and my Hot Wheel cars, and I think that's when I first had the realization, I just really enjoy making stuff with my hands, and there are no limits to sort of what I could do. Now, when did I consider myself a professional artist? That is continuing by far. And I apply to a lot of public art RFQs, requests for qualifications around the country. And all these RFQs will say, only professional artists can apply. And I swear to goodness, every time a little voice says, oh, that's not you. It's still, I think, because I'm a self-taught artist. I don't have any professional training. So I think that's where some of that comes from for me.
I think the first time I want to be an artist is when I was a little kid, and when I was maybe 4 years old, and I drew flowers, clouds, and trees every day, all day. And at that time, I told my parents, I want to be an artist, but actually I don't know how to be an artist. So after I grew up, I went to a college, an art school, and I met so many young artists who has the same goal as me. And also I learned from many professional teachers, and at that time I started to realize that, I want to keep doing artwork, I want to be an artist. So that is one of the reasons I left China, and because I think 4 years for me is not enough. So I left China and I came here and studied MTech.
Kind of complicated because I'm not sure exactly when I reached that point, but I grew up here in St. Louis Park. I went to St. Louis Park High School, and at the time I thought I was going to be a broadcaster. We had a media program. Pete Peterson, it was a lot of people talk about Pete Peterson. He was a teacher there and really encouraged a lot of art. There was a radio station at the high school that I worked on, and we made little films. There was a media production class. That was my path that I was on. And then I went off to college at Northwestern, and I'd had bands in high school, but I had written some songs. But it wasn't until I got to college that I wrote songs that were more personal and more from me. And I think it was around that time, maybe my freshman year at college, that somebody heard me playing my own songs and they wanted me to play on campus, a show. So I would probably say that was the beginning for me of actually being an artist, because it was playing out my own songs in front of people. That was probably the definitive time.
You mentioned some of those opportunities in high school. Does anyone else remember any opportunities that were given to you, or certain individuals who welcome your creativity or your artistry?
I was raised in Black Baptist Church, and they were very supportive, especially when a holiday came, particularly Easter or Christmas. And so we get a little poem to recite, and I think that had a lot to do with me being willing to be in front of people, because they always encouraged you. If you forgot a line, you didn't have to feel bad at all. It was always, that's all right, baby, take your time. I like taking my time too. That's probably why. Yeah, so that nurtured it in me. And then I had sang in choir in junior high school, college. I did probably one of the first plays I was in junior high school. We did a play called Up the Down Staircase. That was really fun to do. And then in high school, we did Little Abner. It was me and another black kid. They put white freckles on us. I don't know if I know to do that to me now, but we integrated dog patches. Okay. So I've had some amazing opportunities. And then in college, I performed I went to Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, Illinois, and there was a black choir and a black theater, so I traveled around the country with them. Yeah.
I had reached a point in my career where I was doing small wall pieces, nothing was really selling, and financially not afford for me to kind of be away. I needed to have a full-time paying work to help support my family. And I got invited to give a talk at Hennepin Avenue United Methodist Church. It was around Easter, and they asked me to come in and talk on the topic of brokenness, because I'm a Mosaic artist. And I said, well, okay, I'll figure out something to say to all these people about on the topic of brokenness. And they also said, and by the way, you can have a little solo art show. And I'm like, wow, I've never had a solo art show before, so I'm taking stuff off my walls in my house, and I hung them all up on the wall. I don't know, 15, 20 pieces worth of work. This was maybe about 7 years ago. And immediately a few pieces sold, and then a few more pieces sold. And then an anonymous parishioner came forward and loved what was there so much, said, I want to buy everything that's left, and I want to donate it to be in this space because it looks so lovely here. Wow. And it really was, it cleaned out my entire studio, everything I had on my walls at home, and it was like the universe offered me this fresh slate to say, okay, what are you going to do? So that one person, the person who initially invited me to come in and give the talk, and then that one person who stepped forward, I didn't know. So there's some serendipity involved, I think, too, some real unexpected stuff that happens.
Xiaojie, I have read a little bit about some of your work, and you've talked about the sort of culture shock that you experienced when you first came to Minnesota to study at MCAD. And curious if you could say a little bit about what that experience was like, and also how that experience influenced your artwork.
To be honest, all my personal work related to my daily life. And so I still remember the first time I came here, and everything was suddenly new for me. And so at that time, I seldom talk to people, and what I do is just use pen or brush to record my daily life. And at the same time, I also show to the viewers what my life was in my, because I'm a Chinese minority. I'm from the group of minority named Tujia in China, and this is one of the 56 national minorities. So we have our own culture, our own languages, our own costumes. So I think those are unique. So I want to show people here about this. So I create many work related to this.
Actually, one thing, we haven't really brought it up, but being a minority of some kind forms several of our past identities. And, growing up in St. Louis Park, being Jewish wasn't a serious minority, but in the world it is, and so that's informed a lot of my experience and my outlook and everything.
I want to dive in a little bit into the creative process, sort of how the sausage gets made, and how you go from a blank canvas to this finished work of art. And I wonder if somebody could talk about what that first step looks like. How do you go from a blank sheet of paper, if you're writing words, or a blank canvas of some kind, and get started? What's the first step look like?
Since I was younger, I used tape recorders to capture song ideas, and notebooks. So I use a combination of the two things. And I have this process now. I keep notebooks, and I have these digital tape recorders. And I collect all these song ideas, and then what I do is I just go back and listen to them all. And the ones that I find myself walking around singing are the ones I work on.
One of the visual artists comments on that?
A lot of what I do now is site-specific art, so I'm getting commissions that are for specific sites. So a lot of times that drives what I do. If I have a chance to visit the site, I'll love me a big old wall to just start thinking about, wow, the possibilities of that wall. But I also have started doing my own work, and I'm a lover of patterns. I get a little obsessive about patterns. Sitting here looking at the patterns in the rug is a little bit of a distraction for me. Because I'm very tactile and I work with my hands as a mosaic artist about putting things together, different shapes together, creating different things that I want. And I cannot draw if my life depended on it. And so the way I create is to start piecing together things with my hands. Yeah, it's just my process. And when I am stuck with an idea, I usually go for a good swim across Cedar Lake. Hope I don't get caught by the park police. And
It's a good swimmer.
I am a good swimmer.
My creative process depends on what kind of project I get. For example, if I get my commercial illustration project, I will definitely choose digital because every time when I finish the project and I will show to the art director, and the art director will give me some feedback and want me to modify some parts so that I can do the final one. So the digital way is more fast and is more convenient. And also for some long-term project, I will choose the traditional techniques. I love brush and watercolor. For example, for children's book, I will connect with the art directors and the writers and know what they think about the project. And sometimes I will, if they're not satisfied with my illustration, I will re-illustrate. But the time is not that limited, so I have more time to illustrate my work.
What's your sort of first step in the creative process when you sit down to write something?
Wake up in the morning. That's where it comes from. I have one song that's really interesting. I was in the recording studio with another friend, Bruce Henry, who's known around the world. And he was in there working on the song. I was sitting at the desk, and I got a piece of paper and wrote lyrics to a song called You Should Be Just Who You Are. Just had the lyrics. And then I think I put them away. Don't you know, almost a year to the day, the melody came to me, the whole tune came to me. Oh, then lastly, I wrote a song called Salvation Is My Choice. Wrote it, I was driving north on 169, stuck in a traffic jam. I wrote it, that blew me away. Being traffic, you might as well use your time, right? You're in a traffic jam. But that was amazing. I wrote those verses together, of course, and then went home and wrote a bridge, and it's a beautiful song. It's going to make a lot of money. It's exciting. Exciting.
Those of you who have long commutes, songwriters.
I add one thing.
Yes.
I want to give credit where credit is due. So, as I said, I don't have any professional arts training, but Stacia Goodman Mosaic is really a two-person team of me and my husband. And my husband is a professional graphic designer. He's a phenomenal illustrator. So usually when I get work, I have the original idea and I sort of act it out with my hands of sort of what I'm seeing. And then we do a back and forth process where he just does amazing illustrations and renderings, and we go through a process. And so I really, his name is Len Goodman, so I really feel like I need to acknowledge his work. So I act as the art director, and then of course I do all the fabrication of the work itself, but I couldn't do what I do without his skill set.
Mary, you are multi-talented and multifaceted. You describe yourself as singer, songwriter, actress, speaker, and lover of life. What is your approach to all these different kinds of opportunities like? How does it differ depending on what you're doing? What is that process like for you?
Well, I get up in the morning. You know, this is a good question because I think my answer was it. I get up in the morning. I think I approach them all the same. So, but I just show up. I learned years ago that whenever I show up, I'm going to get blessed. So I think that's my approach. Show up, listen. I'm really easy to work with. I'm coachable. Directors love me. And I'm also, I don't know if we talked about, I'm a certified reflexologist, so I'm a body worker. So they also like me around because I give good massages. My approach is just to show up, you know, find out what's needed, provide that, and then listen. They want me to something, they want me to stand a different way. And I play with it too. And sometimes I'll go to an audition for a TV commercial or industrial film. And then some part sounds like a spoken black woman, but I say, you want me to sound like a black woman? What kind of black woman you want? Happy black woman? You want me to be a white woman? I'm an actor. I can play a white woman, you know. Let's play with it, right? Let's play with it. So that's it. Show up, get up, play. That's it.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I I majored in film at Northwestern, and I started playing music seriously in Chicago. And then I graduated college and I moved to Austin, Texas. Why did I move to Austin, Texas? Because a guy from college said, "You got to move to Austin with me. We'll start a band." I'd never been in Texas. I barely knew this guy. And we moved down there together, and we rented a house and we formed a band. And I suddenly realized, even though that he didn't seem to need to get a job right away, I really did. And I took a few odd jobs down there, and then I found out that they were hiring at the legislature there as like a proofreader for all the bills. And so I worked for their legislature for 2 different sessions while I played in the band. And it was like a lot of overtime work and just reading tons of words out loud, which is something I can do with one part of my brain while I think about music or whatever else with the other part of my brain. It was kind of good for me in a way. And then my band broke up and I moved back here, and I was like in late 95. And I had the same thing. I moved back here to play music and suddenly realized, I'm not making enough for music. I need to get a job. So I had a couple of jobs, and then I realized that I could do the same kind of work for our legislature. So for 21 years, I proofread all of your bills that became laws, and I wrote these things called resolutions, and I gave them 21 years of my life. And it wasn't always fun. In fact, the tension with my music informed everything that happened in those years, because they hated that I had a music career. They hated it. I mean, not everyone hated it, but all it takes is a boss or two to hate it, to make your life a living hell. And I did this job for 21 years, and then in 2017, after a particularly bruising, this would be the time of the year right now that I would have been losing my mind, because we're into May, and that's when so in 2017, at the end of the legislative session, I worked 3 all-nighters in 5 days, including with gigs in there. There were gigs mixed in. And I was trying to and my kids were young, they're still pretty young. And it was at the end of that session that I said, that's it. I can't do it anymore. And there's only one, something's got to give, and it wasn't going to be the music.
Right.
It was scary, and it's still scary. And I'm right now, making my 15th album. And, it costs money to make an album, and I sort of have it, and I sort of don't.
Can I add something?
Please, yeah.
I just want to say, the realities of being an artist. The reality still is that I'm a freelance marketing communications writer and public relations consultant, and I make my art mostly from about 5 o'clock at night, 4 o'clock in the afternoon until about midnight, and then every weekend is that. But my day is writing about the lead battery recycling industry. That's right, let me know, I'm your go-to. And K through 12 furniture, and some other just really boring trade stuff. But it's just the reality of being an artist. I don't foresee being able to stop that, to being able to slow down. So it's a hard life.
Yes, it is.
It's a hard life.
I don't think people understand sometimes just how hard it can be.
Yeah, last night I got 3 hours of sleep. But you know what though? I love what I do, and I feel blessed to be able to do it. So, but I just want to balance some of the realities.
My next question is going to be if there are any particular artists or performances or artworks that you've seen that have been particularly influential or meaningful in your lives, either personally or in your creative.
I love Fordism, and I'm a big fan of Matisse. I love his color, I love his decorative patterns, and I love paper card collage.
I'm a big fan of, I love music. And then the work of Andy Goldsworthy. And then in the last few years, I've been studying the work of George Morrison, a Native American artist, of his wood collages that he did, and I'm very inspired by that. There are Mosaic artists who I love and I follow, and I try not to overly copy, but I'm much more interested in other people's artwork, music, what they're doing.
Well, I mentioned Dylan, but it's like being a musician I take from everyone. I've always listened to a lot of music and gone to a lot of concerts, and like on my 13th birthday, I tell this story how I saw the Kinks at Lloyd Wilkins Auditorium on my 13th birthday, and I got a pick from Ray Davies, and it changed. I mean, that was it. It was over for me right there and I sang into the microphone at my first romp. He put the we got into the front row, and my friend and I. So the bug bit me early, and it bit me hard. And the Beatles, Prince, everything from here. This is an incredible place to be from too. To have Dylan and Prince both from here, that's huge. I don't know. I don't even know how I could have done anything else. It was like ordained that I would do this somehow, but something magical happened. I don't even know where a hit song comes from. I feel like I've probably written a few that should have been, but that's the breaks. But I know one when I hear one, and it fascinates me still. Like, what makes a great song?
James Brown, Sly Stone.
Oh,
He's my favorite philosopher.
I hear that in your, I hear the Sly Stone.
And the Beatles and Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway. And I love dance. I love Shake My Butt. Oh, just love to dance. I love flowers and just life. Just life. Being alive. And I wake up and I get up in the morning.
Our mission, Friends of the Arts, is build community through the arts. Art being a tool to bring people together and form connections. How have you all seen the ability of art to do that, to build community and bring people together?
I think people are really hungry for connection these days, though, like through music. Music has this power to bring people together, and all art does, and I think we need it badly right now.
You might very well leave here tonight and then see somebody next week in the grocery store and say, "Oh, I saw you last week." Yeah, that's fun, wasn't it? Yeah, like that. I like that. I love that goes on and on and on.
Favorite nephew Kevin, I'm writing to thank you for the summer of '67.